Greeting to all the students. Welcome to Global Online. Here we are back with our NTA UGC NET preparation JRF for 2023 for paper 1. And as you all know that your exams have started from yesterday. And based on the analysis which was done with yesterday's shift, that is first and second shift, I have came up with a very 100% short and important topic, which is with reference to higher education system. So here we will be covering not only NHP, that is National Education Policy 2020, but also we will be covering some important principles of Jainism and Buddhism, which are a part of higher education system. Also certain universities which were established in 1900. So we will see these questions because these are the topics which are famous, which are coming up in your question papers. So let's have a look at them very quickly. Before we go ahead, yes, what does Global Online has to offer you for your current examination? We have came up with a quick revision PDF for paper 1, which will be consisting of 2000 MCQs, updated MCQs, current affairs, short notes, previous year questions, and most repeated question. This all is available at a package cost of ₹699. You can get in touch with us on these given WhatsApp number in order to avail the PDF copy for yourself. Apart from this, we also have your revision crash course, which is on Global Online app, which you can download the app with the help of Google Play Store. This is how the interface of the app looks like. And yes, if you just, go in detail, these are the various syllabus units, which is as per the syllabus. Every unit consists of video lectures, mock tests. So these will really helpful for you in cracking your examination for your NET UGC NET paper 1. Now, yes, let's start the session for the day with certain questions which are very important, not only on national education policy, but also on principles of Jainism and Buddhism. So yes, we will start with the questions for the day. Yes. So yes, here comes the first question. So the first question is basically, according to, now we have the first question which is on the screen. So let's check at the first question and let's try to answer this question and get our important topic revised. So the question says that, according to the new education policy 2020, what is a recommended % of GDP, that is gross domestic product, which is allotted to education by the government? Now see, this question is very factual, and for such factual questions, it's very important that you need to have a very important factual information which is up to the point and accurate. So it is talking about National Education Policy 2020 has recommended some amount of percentage of gross domestic products, that is GDP, which will be allocated to education. So the option given below are 4%, 5%, 6%, and 10%. These are the options which are given below. So out of these options, which stands to be the correct option with respect to National Education Policy 2020 recommendation of a percentage out of GDP? So if you see the recommendation which was given through National Education Policy 2020 for the percentage of allocation for the education, that was nothing but it was 6%. So the right answer stands to be 6%, which is allotted as per 6% of your GDP, that is gross domestic product, which is to be allocated to education by the government. Okay. So yes, this is the first question which we have. Now, second question. Now, your second question are various statement given. Now, yes, in yesterday's paper, many students have came up with the point that the questions are very lengthy. See, the questions are from the concepts only. That is not out of the syllabus. But the thing is that the questions are very lengthy. The questions are indirect, and it has a clear concept. If you are clear with your concept, it will be easier. So it is very important that your time management for reading the question is must. So let's see, what is the second question talking about? The second question is talking about how does the NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020, propose to address the issue of early childhood care and education. So here, as per the National Education Policy 2020, it is asking us the aspect or the issue of early childhood care and education. So here it is talking about what? It is talking about introducing mandatory preschool education for all children. So here the first point says that about mandatory pre-education, It talks about providing financial institutes. It talks about developing a framework for quality standards, that is in early childhood care and education, or all above. So the question basically is talking with respect to what? The question is asking the proposal, which is to address the issue of early childhood care and education as per New Education Policy 2020. So as per New Education Policy 2020, what issues will be taken care with respect to? Now, what is the point over here with respect to early childhood care and education? And the given lists, I'll just clear all so that it will be easier for you to read. So mandatory preschool education, that is the first point. Second, financial incentives to the parents for early childhood education. Then developing the quality standards. So, or all above. So which point stands to be, addressing the issue with the help of national education policy with respect to what? With respect to your childcare and education. So yes, very, very true. Those who have answered it correctly, option number D, that it not only it not only takes into consideration mandatory preschool education, but it also takes into consideration financial incentives, and it also takes into consideration the quality standards. So right answer stands to be what? Option number D, that is all above. Okay. So yes, now let's move towards our next question. So next question is basically, it is talking about what? It is talking about the structure. So let's see, as per what is the proposed structure? So it is asking about what? It is asking about the proposed structure of National Education Commission. So NEC. So it is taking into consideration the structure, which is proposed structure of NEC, that is National Education Commission, as per given under the guidelines of National Education Policy 2020. So the structure which is proposed for National Education Commission as per New Education Policy 2020. So whether it is a constitutional body, whether it is an autonomous statutory body, whether it is a government department, or whether it is an advisory committee. So what is the proposed structure which is given for National Education Commission for NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020? So does it stands as a part of constitutional body? Does it stands as a part of autonomous body? Does it stands as a part of government, or does it stands as an advisory committee? So what is taken into consideration? So if you look at the question, the proposed structure which is given for National Education Commission with respect to National Education Policy 2020 is none other than constitutional body. So I'll just clear this so it will be very clear for that. That is National Education Commission. It takes into consideration what? It takes into consideration a constitutional body. That is your option number A, which stands to be right. Then coming to the next part, yes, let's see question number 4. So question number 4 is a bit lengthy question. So you can read the question, but ensure that your time management is in point. How does National Education Policy, that is 2020. So it is asking about what? It is asking about National Education Policy 2020 aim to promote inclusion and equity in education. So yes, if you remember, this is one point which we are we have taken into our SDG also, that is Sustainable Development Goals also. But still, what NEP, that is National Education Policy, has promoted for inclusion and equity in education. So whether it is providing free education to all students, whether it is expanding the scope of reservation in educational institutions, whether it is implementing inclusive policies and programs for disadvantaged groups, whether it is eliminating private schools and promoting government schools. So they have given us 4 options, okay? And they're asking us the aim of National Education Policy 2020 in order to promote inclusion and equity in education. That is inclusive education. Now, what inclusive education tells you? Inclusive education where all the students, every child is considered equal, okay, with respect to education. So which stands to be true? Whether providing free education to all the students, whether expanding the scope of reservation in educational institutions, whether implementing inclusive policies and programs, or eliminating private schools and promoting government schools. So it says that from the given option, in order to promote inclusion and equity, the right option stands to be. See, you have to read the question very clearly. Inclusive, no? So it tells you implementing inclusive policies and program for disadvantaged group. Okay, so basically the people who are not getting any advantage, and it is emphasizing on what? It is emphasizing on exclusive policies and programs. It is meant for disadvantaged groups. Okay, so yes, coming to our next question, that is question number 5. So let's see now what does question number 5 says. So question 5 talks about according to National Education Policy 2020. So it's considering what? It is considering National Education Policy 2020. What is recommended teacher training duration for professional development? Very important. Make a note of it very well. Here they are asking us a recommendation for teacher training duration for professional development. So if you are taking into consideration professional development, what is teacher training duration? So whether the teacher training duration is 50 hours per year, whether it is 100 hours per year, or whether it is 200 or 500. So understand the question very well. We are talking about what? We are talking about professional development. So when we are considering professional development with respect to teacher training, what is the recommended hours which are dedicated? Whether it is 50, 100, 200 or 500 per year. So when we are talking about the professional development number of hours which are dedicated, it comes to what? It comes to 100 hours. Okay. So if you're not aware of this, make a note. For teacher training with respect to professional development according to new education policy. Now see, here we are talking in terms of what? We are talking in terms of new education policy 2020. So according to this policy, for the professional development, training duration will be for teacher is 100 per year, which has to be, which is recommended. Okay. Now, coming to the next part is we are talking about next question. Now, next question tells you, according to new education policy 2020, proposed to promote internationalization of education in India. So now, why internationalization of education in India is promoted under new education policy 2020? So whether it is for encouraging the collaboration between Indian and foreign universities, whether it is attracting foreign students in Indian institutions, that is educational institutions, or whether it is talking about what? Whether it is talking about offering the degree programs with international universities, or it is talking about what? Just a second. Yes. Or it is talking about all the above. So here we are talking about internationalization of education. So when we are considering internationalization of education, what is then aim or what is the purpose to promote this internationalization of education? So looking at all the options, okay, if you see, yes, it is definitely to collaborate the universities. It is definitely to attract the foreign students to Indian universities, offering joint degree programs with international university, which many of the institutions have already started with. So yes, if you look at all the options with respect to the given question, which option stands to be correct? So yes, option number D stands to be correct. That is considering not only the collaboration, not only the attraction of foreign students, but also the joint initiative of the degree. Okay, coming to the next is your question number 7. So let's see what question number 7 is all about. Okay. Sorry. Yes. So let's have a look at question number 7. So what does question number 7 says? Okay. So yes. Question number 7 talks about, according to new education policy 2020, what is the proposed implementation timeline? So here they're asking about what? They're asking about the timeline duration for achieving universal foundational literacy and numeracy. So it is asking about what? They have given a timeline. Now timeline for what? For an proposed implementation in order to achieve universal foundational literacy, that is basic literacy and numeracy. So for that, what is the timeline which is given as per new education policy 2020? So whether it is 2025, whether it is 2030, whether it is 2040, or it is not specified in the policy. So you have given all the options. So what is the question talking about? The question is talking about numerical and basic literacy. Okay, with respect to literacy and with respect to numbers. So what is the target which is given? So target which is given as per the new education policy is 2030. So by 2030, there has to be what? There has to be and timeline with reference to what? With reference to achieving the foundational literacy as well as numeracy. Okay. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 8. Okay. So now if you remember, we have done this in the theory class also when we did a revision crash course. That time we have considered this topic also. We have done this already. So according to the new education policy 2020, what is recommended teacher-student ratio for secondary education? Now, please remember, here we have done from secondary education point of view also, from degree education point of view, that is for the graduation also. So the question is specifying about what? Secondary education. So as per the new education policy 2020, the recommended ratio for secondary education, it means, now what is this recommended ratio? That is teacher is to students. So for how many students the teacher will be, for how many students, what amount of number of teachers are recommended? So it is 1:30, 1:40, 1:20, or 1:50. So these are the options they have given with reference to what? With reference to teacher-student ratio. So when we are looking at teacher-student ratio, the recommended policy which is given as per the new education policy for secondary education. Now, please keep in mind, it is asking for secondary education. So that is 1:20. So for secondary education, for every 20 students, there will be one teacher. Okay. Now, coming to the next is our question number 9. So question number 9 talks about what? Question number 9 talks about committee. Which committee was responsible for drafting new education policy 2020? So which committee has, was responsible for the draft which was applicable or which was mentioned for new education policy 2020? So as per the committee which was responsible for drafting new education policy was Kothari Commission, was Ranganathan Committee, was Yashpal Committee, or TSR Subramaniam Committee. So out of these committees, which committee came up with a draft for new education policy 2020? So the committee which came up with a draft for new education policy 2020, that was none other than, but it was TSR Subramaniam Committee. That is option number D. Okay, now see very well, as the speed with respect to the questions, okay, these are very factual questions. In fact, I have taken a very full-fledged lecture for new education policy, where we have not only seen the new education policy, we have also seen the Higher Education Commission, we have also seen the levels, we have also seen the multiple entry and exit system. We have also considered your policies, important points with respect to policy. So there is a full-fledged lecture on that. So this particular session is basically to make you revise the terms, to make you recall the questions. And as we are seeing that new education policy 2020 is very common topic nowadays in your question paper. So these things will help you to come back with a time management. So you have to be very sure that your speed has to be a little bit taken care, because the students already has, commented that the students who have appeared for the exams, that the questions are very lengthy and it requires you to have a very organized time management in order to complete your paper. Fine. So yes, let's go to the next question now. That is your question number 10. So now your question number 10 talks about what? Now see, again, this is one of the important topic, that is gross enrollment ratio. But this topic now they have combined with new education policy. So under the new education policy 2020, what is the proposed percentage of gross enrollment ratio in higher education? So for now see, this question is completely twisted. Similar type of question has came in previous year question papers, but in a different way. Now here they have twisted the question just to make it, different. So it is asking about the gross enrollment ratio, which is to be targeted by 2035 under the new education policy. So whether it is 15%, whether it is 25%, whether it is 30%, or whether it is 50%. So considering the given option, what is the percentage of gross enrollment ratio in higher education by 2035. So by 2035, it is to be 50%. The right option is 50%. Fine. Okay, coming to the next question. That is your question number 11. So let's see, let's have a look at question number 11. Now see, this also topic I have taught you, and this is a very basic question. In fact, no one should go wrong for this question. It is talking about what? According to New Education Policy 2020, what is the suggested duration of undergraduate degree program? So very simple question they have given. So as per the New Education Policy, the duration for undergraduate program is what? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. So what are the years for undergraduate program? Here they are not asking in normal. In fact, they are asking with respect to what? They are asking with respect to your New Education Policy 2020. So with respect to New Education Policy 2020, the undergraduate duration program, the degree, that is undergraduate degree program, has been shifted to how many years? Yes, it has been shifted to 4 years. Now this 4 is also like 3 plus 1. So 3 is basically your normal degree, and this 1 year is allotted to what? Research. And by doing this, you have an entry for your masters also, for 1 year's master. Okay, yes. Now let's go to question number 12, everyone. Now question number 12 talks about what? Which organization is responsible for implementation of new education policy? Now here they are asking about what? They are asking about the organization which is responsible for implementation of new education policy. That is Ministry of Education, University Grant Commission, National Council of Educational Research and Training, that is NCRT, or NTA, that is National Testing Agency. So who is responsible for implementation of this new education policy 2020? Now, obviously, we are talking about education. So none other than Ministry of Education has a right, okay, to implement, or is responsible for implementation of new education policy. So Ministry of Education, earlier which was known as Ministry of Human Resource Development. So now it has been renamed as Ministry of Education. Okay, yes, so this is also done. Now coming to question number 13. So let's see what is question number 13 all about. So let's have a look. Question number 13. So question number 13 is talking about the that is National NEP, sorry, the National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes the integration of which subjects within the curriculum. So here they are asking that there is an integration of which subjects within the curriculum. So whether it is science and mathematics, whether it is arts and humanities, whether it is environmental studies and social sciences, or all subjects should be integrated. So I'm asking about what? Here it is asking about the New Education Policy 2020 is emphasizing the integration of which subjects, okay? So whether it is subjects like science and mathematics, whether it is arts and humanity, whether it is environmental studies and social science, or it is all the subjects. So obviously, new education policy has given importance to all the subjects. So the one which is integrated or emphasized, within the curriculum will be all the subjects. That is not only science and maths, arts and humanities, and environmental studies and social science. So your right option stands to be what? Option number D. Okay. Now, yes, coming to the next question. That is next question is called as question number 14 now. So now for question number 14, they have asked us what is the proposed age, okay, for the introduction of coding and computational thinking. Now, you know very well that new education policy has given a proposal of coding and computational thinking in schools. But for that, they have given the proposed age, whether it is grade 1, that is standard 1 onwards, whether it is grade 6, that is standard 6 onwards, whether it is grade 9, that is standard 9th onwards, or it is not mentioned in the policy. So when we are talking about the introduction of coding, okay, which is a major change which was brought up in new education policy, and computational thinking, it can be introduced in which standard? So as per the proposed policy implementation, it can be introduced in your grade 1 onwards, okay? So it can be introduced for what? Grade 1. Okay, yes, then coming next to is question number 15. Now, yes, so from question number 15, I have remaining some 10 more questions. Now, these 10 questions. Now, here, Till question number 14, I have taken all the questions which are with respect to national education policy. These were the questions which I felt that you should have been revised. Now, question 15 onwards, okay? I have taken all the topics with respect to principles of Jainism and Buddhism, which was seen in your question paper. In fact, yesterday's question paper, there was a question. So on that, I have made a lot of other questions also, which will help you to get an idea about your upcoming examination, that is papers for upcoming cycles which are left. So which of the following principles, so question number 15 talks about which of the principle of Jainism. So there is a principle of Jainism which promotes the idea of non-violence. So one of the principle of Jainism is promoting the idea of non-violence or non-harming of all living beings in the context of higher education. So it is ahimsa, satya, asatya or brahmacharya. So which principle as per the new, in the context of higher education, promotes the idea of non-violence and non-harming? So the principle that is which promotes the idea of, yes, the one which promotes the idea of non-violence and non-harming, that is ahimsa. It's one which is, which is the principle of promoting non-violence and non-harming. Okay. Coming to question number 16 now. Question number 16, let's see. What is question number 16 all about? So in question number 16 is on the principle of Buddhism. So let's see. So in Buddhism, so we are talking about what? We are talking about Buddhism. Which principle emphasizes? So there is a principle in the Buddhism which emphasizes the cultivation of wisdom and understanding through intellectual exploration. So obviously one principle in Buddhism which emphasizes, which gives importance to cultivation of wisdom and understanding through intellectual exploration in higher education. So whether it is right view, whether it is right intention, whether it is right speech, or whether it is right livelihood. So there are certain principles in Buddhism. Now these principles, it is talking about what? These principles are talking about cultivation of wisdom as well as understanding of intellectual exploration. So these two principles, which will be considered from which point of view? Whether it is right view, whether it is right intention, whether it is right speech, or whether it is right livelihood. So talking about Buddhism principles, the one which talks about wisdom and intellectual are called as what? They are called as right view, that is right opinion. Okay. Now, yes, coming to next question, that is question number 17. Now we have Jainism as question number 17. So question 17 speaks about Jainism promotes, okay, Anekantavada, which is particularly relevant in higher education. So what does this Anekantavada emphasizes? So what does it tells about? So whether it is, what does this principle is known as? Whether it is non-attachment to worldly possession, whether it is non-violence and non-harming, whether it is the pursuit of truth, or whether it is a path of liberation through self-discipline. So we are talking about the Jainism principle, which promotes, okay, the principle of Anekantavada. So that is talking about what? From the given option, it is reflecting what? So yes, it reflects nothing but it reflects the pursuit, that is a path of truth through multiple perspectives. So it is taken into consideration what? It is taken into consideration the multiple perspectives. Okay. Yes. Now coming to question number 18. So let's see what is question number 18 all about. So question number 18 talks about Buddhism principle. Now in Buddhism, the principle of mindfulness plays a significant role in higher education. So yes, as per Buddhism principles or philosophy, the principle of mindfulness plays a very important role. So now your mindfulness entitled what? What does mindfulness mean? As per the Buddhism principle. So whether it is focusing on present moment and developing the awareness, whether it is cultivating kindness and compassion towards others, whether it is engaging in moral conduct and ethical behavior, or it is talking about practicing meditation to achieve enlightenment. So yes, now one of the principle tells us that one of the principle talks about mindfulness. Okay, now this mindfulness plays a very important or a significant role in higher education. But now what does this mindfulness entitle about, or what is it indicates? So in mindfulness under this principle, okay, it indicates that you are not on, that is, you are equally responsible to focus at the present moment. So whatever you are at the moment, okay, at the present moment, you are not only supposed to focus on that, but you are supposed to develop the awareness also. So mindfulness, it means present focus as well as awareness. Okay. Yes. Now coming to the next point, that is question number 19. So question number 19 talks about Jainism, which emphasize the principles of tapas, that is in the reference to higher education. What does it refers to? So what does it tells about, or what this principle talks about? Whether it is practicing of fasting and self-discipline, whether it is the knowledge and intellectual growth, whether it is development of patience and endurance, whether it is, reunion of worldly desires and possession. So we are talking about what? We are talking about tapas, that is a principle under Jainism. So in the context of higher education, what does this principle talks about? So this principle talks about that is pursuit of knowledge and intellectual growth. So please remember, now these principles we are considering from what? We are considering from higher education point of view. So obviously, the more focus will be on what? The more focus will be on your knowledge, your growth, intellectual growth. These are the points where the focus will be more. Okay. Now, yes, there was one direct question from this principle, that is thus Shikshak Padani in Jainism. Now let's see what is this principle all about. So basically, this is a principle of the first principle of. So it is asking about what? It is asking about the first principle of thus Shikshak Padani in Jainism. Okay, so that is Pad. That is Pad. That means a position, you can see. So what exactly it is? So here, yes, I have written the names. Okay, the names for it, as well as its meaning also is written. Okay, forgiveness, that is Kashama. Then we have humility, that is Vinaya, straightforwardness, that is Satya, and contentment, that is Santosh. Okay, now it is asking about what? It is asking, sorry, about the first principle of the Shikshak Pad in Jainism. So what this principle talks about or tells about? So this principle is none other than, it is talking about what? It is talking about the truth. It means it talks about the straightforwardness. Okay. Now, coming to the next is your question number 21. Now, 21, I have taken last 4 or 5 questions on those topics. So it becomes easier for you to revise also. So when we are talking about this principle, that is principle of the Shikshak Pad in Jainism, it emphasizes self-control and restraining. Now, what does it indicates? Which principle among that? That is whether it is penance or it is Tapa, whether it is self-restraint, whether it is humility or non-attachment. So we are supposed to understand the principle which is given in Jainism, okay, which emphasizes more on self-control and restraint. So which is that principle which is emphasizing more on self-control and restraint? That is the principle of self-restraint. It means the self-control and self-restraint will come out of what? It is obviously with your help of self-determination. That is in the form of self-control or self-restraint also you can call. Then coming to question number 22. So now 22 talks about the principle of in Jainism. Now this principle which promotes forgiveness and letting go of anger. So when we are talking about a principle of forgiveness and letting go, it is basically with respect to non-violence, whether it is ahimsa, whether it is basically to penance, that is tapya, forgiveness or contentment. So which principle indicates the principle of virtue, that is virtue of forgiveness as well as what? Letting go of anger. So here in this case, which principles talks about it? So yes, the principle of what? The principle of forgiveness. Okay, that is what it talks about, letting go of the anger or to forgive someone. Then coming to your next question, that is the question of a principle of Jainism, which focuses on reducing the desires and finding satisfaction. So yes, it is now you can find it very easy to correlate the principle of Dak Shikshak Pad in Jainism, which talks about what focusing on desires, reducing the desires, and satisfaction. It is basically contentment, non-violence, penance, or non-attachment. So from the given options, the principle of contentment, that is called as what? The principle of satisfaction, is all about reducing desires and finding satisfaction. Okay. Then next is 24th. That is the last question which we have. So this last question talks about what? It talks about the principle of tapya. Okay. That is penance and Shikshak Pad in Jainism. So what does tapya indicates? Okay. Sorry. What does, it indicates whether it is fasting, whether it is reunion, whether it is meditation, whether it is practicing non-violence. So considering all the principles, yes, it is indicating what? Tapya, no? So it is indicating nothing but it indicates discipline. That is self-discipline. Okay. So yes, that's all we have for today. That is, we have done this points today. And as you all are aware that in the coming lectures also, whatever important topics are there, we will be doing that so that it will be easier for you who are appearing for the coming days of your examination. Apart from paper 1, if you are looking something for paper 2, yes, in paper 2 also, we have the notes and MCQs available with us at a cost of ₹1280 for these following subjects. You can get in touch with us. The WhatsApp number is given below. And yes, that's all we have for the day. Let's see, everyone. Next session will be on communication and ICT units topics, which are latest in our examination. We will be discussing that. Yes, thank you, everyone.